Welcome back to Talking Stupid. Definitely worth the wait. Gotta hit that button. All right, well, welcome back to our next episode, our next installment of Talking Stupid, a special Darling Derringer deep dive episode. With me today, we have none other than our wonderful, darling, I bet she's Mrs. Behavin', Abon. How you doing today?
I'm doing all right. I got ice cream today. I can't ask for anything better.
Fantastic. All right, well, today I want to drag you through the mud on some questions we have about Darling, the little sister of the Derringers, and maybe if we're lucky, we'll get into some of your other characters and have some fun with just some regular Lawful Stupid shenanigans. But
yeah, sure.
I had to do a little prep. I dove back in, reminded myself all the way back to your intro episode. And I guess first thing I wanted to talk about, because we've seen a few highlights from it, but I feel like it's been kind of underscored. You developed this class with Darling, with Dwayne for Darling for the College of Botany. What went into that? Like, what was your inspiration for wanting to make a bard that was nature geared?
Well, as a fun fact, it's like, yes and no, I'm working with Dwayne on this class, but it's actually a homebrew class from the Domestic Players Handbooks. You can get it on the DMG Guild, cool. I think, website. And it was just kind of geared more to that, like, family business and, like, what's the word? Just that domestic bullshit kind of vibe.
Definitely.
And the reason why I kind of went into the whole, like, botany thing was, well, I knew we were going on a adventure out in the wilds, and I was like, you know what? Why not? I like the idea of plants, and I also like the idea of being more in tune as a storyteller for Wen in Goron, because, plant storyteller, god dude. Sounds like a good idea to somehow tie that in eventually somehow.
Definitely. So with that, are there any features, attributes that you haven't gotten to showcase yet that you're like excited to get out there, or do you want to keep that as a hidden surprise?
I'm going to keep it a hidden surprise. And sometimes they make us do little introductions for, like, when we get new class stuff, and sometimes it just kind of gets glazed over. So we'll see which one happens first.
For sure. So, one of the cutest intro scenes by far for Darling, and, not that she had a lot of competition with Kato and Gus. I mean, cutest was easily handed. But we're starting out with her as a little fox kid, and we have that scene that Dwayne set up where she's out, trapping little rabbits, catch and release, and then fast forward to just an episode back, I think, and we have you full-grown, darling, with the new, totally drawn a blank at Devin's new crew of chaos that he came shuffling in with.
The Fool's Lullaby.
Yes. And you were hunting mice and catching them and handing them off to Gus, and it was a very a cute, like, I think it might have been an unintentional foreshadowing that was like something that she just like naturally is into. But then we get a second little bit where you threaten the little half-orc that was the antagonist of your backstory by threatening to bring forth a rabbit army. So any chance that might be in the future? Is Darling gonna get a swarm of rabbits or blue selkies to...
I mean, I feel like I should now, as you brought it up. That sounds like an excellent, fun idea, especially with Darling, like, tapping more into that fey mischievousness. Yes. I don't know how I'll do it, but, like, heck, Dwayne.
Right? So that's what half of this is for. We can conspire and make Dwayne give in to your whims.
Yes, definitely.
And there were a lot of those cute little moments too where, you know, Darling was a little bit of maybe a daddy's girl, you feel like, when she was growing up, or...
Oh, hell yeah, definitely. I bet she had him wrapped around her little pinky for the longest time. So when she got older and then he was away more often, that became a problem.
For sure. And being that's one of my other... This is where I'm going to drift off into my conspiracy questions land, because it seemed like most of you guys at the very get-go were very, like, pro-Declan and, like, had these bonded memories that were, you know, there was no question when he sent the letters to come help what Dad's doing in Agos. But, you know, we've had Kato die, we've had Vanessa die, we had Neko's character Zira pass away as well, or maybe just be a vampire in the midst. And it feels like the perception of how you guys are viewing Dad is shifting. How do you guys feel about that, and what keeps the motivation for still wanting to continue, you know, solving his letters?
I can't speak too much on my other two brothers, because I still think Gus and Paul have, like, a nice warm spot for Dad. I don't know much about Paul or where his opinion stands. I feel like it's more similar to Darling's, but we'll only see with time. But, like, yeah, she went out on this mission to go see Daddy, dearest, but she's always held, like, the grump about Dad kind of view. She's avoided the family reunions several times. So, like, the shift in opinion, she might see it more darker as we go along. It really depends on how, I guess, how it keeps on going and what his letters contain. I'd like for it to get better. I have hopes, right? Because in all the D&D games, it's always a parental problem.
Right.
So I have hopes for the more healthy relationship, for them to, like, redo their bonds, fix it, make it better. Because I feel like that's a story I don't get to see often in D&D.
For sure. Definitely don't want to get to him and find out that it's just some lackluster... I don't think Dwayne would do that to us. Look,
I don't think he would either.
I found a gold mine. It's great. All this for that?
All this for that? We all died along the way because you couldn't just, like, wait at home for all of us to come join you? Jeez.
And Darling definitely has the most unique pet name for her dad. I've never heard it before. Where did Toddy come from?
Toddy? I believe a Todd is what you call a male fox. So I just kind of pulled on that language, and I was just like, well, for one, I as Abon feel uncomfortable, like, outwardly talking to Dwayne and just say, like, hey, Daddy. That just that fills all my awkward bones. So I was like, oh, if I just say, hey, Toddy, that's just like another stand-in name. Like, I know that it means for dad, and Dwayne knows that it means for dad.
No, honestly, obviously listeners can't see this. I have like the dumbest look of realization on my face, because every one of my notes that I've written on that, I've been spelling it Toddy, Totti. So the male fox Todd thing never dawned on me, and when you said that, I was like, oh my god, that makes so much sense.
You're welcome. It's Toddy, if anybody wants to know.
Revelations. Okay. And so, Darling, she grows up, she goes out with the Asylum of Style, becomes that Sapphire Muse. What do you think, her life was like? Was that like the most at home and that she was, or how was that for her?
I think she was very much at home. She was used to the busyness of the Derringer estate, because Toddy, of course, brought in so many kids, and living on a caravan with a bunch of actors and people of like similar nature to her, like performance, dance, stories, all of that. Just, I think that was another home from home.
And I will say, there was details. She had her own tricked out wagon that, she was a star, and now she's stuck in Gus's food cart. Any regrets that, that Shane conned getting his wagon brought on board, but you didn't get your own set piece to drag?
I'm glad she didn't bring her custom set piece. I think she definitely would have left it in either with the caravan or in a long haul parking spot. I don't know exactly where it is until Dwayne asked me about it. I don't know. Maybe she parked it at the Derringer estate because she knew it'd be safe there. Just because she hates Dad at the moment doesn't mean she's not going to like take advantage of the house, right?
I just feel like we're missing all of those "I'll be in my trailer" moments. And
but I think, to be honest, I think she does miss it, because obviously it's a food truck. She doesn't have the luxury of what I imagine would be like a million pillows and a mattress and all the drapery and just the multitude colors of fabrics and pattern things on the wall. And to be honest, if you've seen Howl's Moving Castle, if you've seen the inside of his room with all the little tchotchkes and the wind chimes and whatever and dangles, like none of that's there. She doesn't have any of her luxury fun things anymore, and I think she misses that.
Yeah. I love that aesthetic. All right. So there was a comment made from Toddy in your backstory after you have made your first transformation into a fox and get the challenge of changing back to get through the door that, always doors, that Dwayne threw at you. I didn't catch it until I re-listened to it, but to quote Dwayne, Toddy tells you, "Some little foxlings spent days transformed their first time," and it didn't register to me that, because it feels like the foxkin are a rare, race. I don't know how Dwayne sees it or if you guys have talked about it, but it doesn't feel like they're super common. So does it seem weird that your dad clearly has some experience with your people beforehand, enough to know that about their children?
I don't think it seems weird. I feel like it paints the picture that Toddy is trying to be a good parent besides just adventurer dad. That he actually looks into. I feel like maybe he did pick up a parenting book, especially with all the kids he's picked up, and maybe either talked to another fox folk or looked into the lore or something of the sort, just so he was prepared for all the wild things that would come about, especially in a world of magic. You want to know when your tiefling child might accidentally, like, hellish rebuke their parents or whatever the thing is. Like, I feel like there has to be some sort of book or manual for that kind of thing.
Right. I hadn't even considered just seems like that. Like,
there has to be a parenting book. There has to.
Really got to pray that maybe that ability just doesn't come in until like puberty or something. Like,
I feel like it'll be even worse.
Maybe.
I don't like you.
Right.
Hellish rebuke, slam the door.
Third time we've had to replace that door. Keeps burning down. All right. Gotta reset for a minute.
You're welcome. I get the host all flustered up.
Right? it's, that's the fun of it. There's just sometimes it takes another player in D&D. You can be trapped in your mind for so long about things and never catch those other perspectives. That's why I love these talks. So drifting
I'm
on
full of them.
Drifting on to some of your other appearances. So we know, right, you've made your official debut with the crew as Ms. B, but prior to that, everyone that comes in Discord has to chime in that, Avon, I just got to when Obix shows up. So you've had a handful of characters on the podcast, not to mention, and fun plug for anybody who's considering joining the Patreon for that $1 tier. There are like 30 plus episodes of the Arcane Wars where you get more Obix and lots of fun. But out of the characters that you've played so far, do you have a personal favorite, one that you're just very like, I'd play her again if we reopened that campaign?
I cannot tell you how often I would replay Obix. I've put her in one-shots, I've put her in different campaigns. She is basically my first D&D character, and I love her to pieces. I would replay her anywhere. If any of the boys was just like, hey, we're doing Arcane Wars, and this is it, I'll be like, fine, hands down, Obix, let's go. Even though she had that instance towards the end of the Arcane Wars, I'll leave it for people to to listen to that. But like, I would come back and play her.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I don't know, I'd probably happily play any of the others I've come on with. I think my character was Dipley during the second campaign. She was kind of fun. I didn't get to explore her very much.
So, yeah, I didn't make it back to going through the patron episodes on C2. I couldn't quite remember who all played. It was a nostalgia throwback, though. That's one of those weird things about being on the Discord for a while, is everyone is so like friendly and it feels like a community, a family of like, I know everybody who's popping on every day at this point. And then I went back and listened to some of the Arcane Wars, and some of the people who have kind of drifted on to other things like DB and Velrune, Sneak, them. It was just like, oh my lord, there's like that heart pang for some of the old friends. So if you're still listening, you guys, get back in there. Come on.
We also like new friends too.
Absolutely.
We're a big old family. Well, we all talk. It's good. It's a good time.
Oh, it's the best. It's honestly the best corner of the internet that I've found. So thank you guys all for, establishing that, because it was like that before I ever even started the podcast to show up here. And then... Well,
I did start off as a patron at first. So before Miss B came in as a debut, I was a fan for quite some time. I think 2017. So thank you, 2017 Lawful Stupid boys, for making the Discord.
How did you find it? When did you stumble upon? Who turned you on to it?
Well, fun thing, I've told you about Abix, right? First D&D character. I was posting her all over my Instagram because I was in a campaign and I loved the heck out of her. All the hashtags like tiefling, monk, just D&D, everything. And then one day I log onto my Instagram and I have a million notifications, like tons of hearts on basically all my tiefling pictures I've got from the Lawful Stupid Instagram account. So I was just like, who the fuck is this person liking my D&D character? I'm like nobody with less than 100 followers. Like, who? So then I go in, look it up, and I see this Lawful Stupid podcast. I take a look, and at that time I was listening to, or at the end of the Adventure Zone, and I was looking for another podcast to kind of fill the void. So I was like, you know what? I'll give these little fuckers a chance, whatever's going on. And I go in and listen, and this is like the first 20 episodes, 30, a very low amount. And I was like, hey, your fire alarm sucks, but I do like your content. Hi, I have drawn art. Do you like the characters? And then we kind of just became friends and started talking from there.
That is amazing. That should literally be a note for anybody else listening who is wanting to start a D&D podcast. Is your best chance is just go find a good artist and pester the hell out of all of their work until they come see who. So that's amazing.
I did find out that it was Shainsaw that was in charge of the account at that time.
Well done, sir. Well done. And then also another kind of hidden behind the curtain thing that probably not a lot of listeners know is that you also for a bit ran the Twisted Tales stuff. So you've got that DMing side of things under your belt as well. How do you feel as far as do you enjoy being a player more, enjoy being a DM more?
I think they both have their pros and cons. I would lean more towards player just because I got like the freedom to do anything I want and come up with the DM and be like, here's my story idea. Let me talk to you about all the things. And as a DM, I had a very bad experience the first time I was DMing, so then I quit for a long time. Nice. And then I came back to it to like do the Twisted Tales and just like get my feet warmed back up to, especially knowing that I have C7 eventually in the future. I wanted to be able to do it, and plus I like this game. I want to play it with my friends. Like, it's fun, and I think the storytelling and making all the NPCs and collaboratively coming to players for the little bits and bobs, like even if they're one-shots, it's still fun to have that extra little like, oh, what about this little thing or this little thing? Right. But I lean heavy on the player end.
Yeah, I think that's totally understandable. I think even people who love DMing always have that like special love for the freedom that being a player brings to you. It's like I could plan everything, but sometimes it's nice to just have that improv reaction.
Well, my other problem about DMing is that I don't have many friends, right? So most of them will either be in my game or I don't know who to talk to so they don't spoil it to one of the other players in my game. That hits home. I was like, who do I talk to so nothing gets spoiled? Like, where do I think of the ideas to make it happen? And like, yeah, I can go over to Ginge, like in the other room, or tap his shoulder, or like late night in bed, just stare at the ceiling and be like, okay, what if I do this thing for this campaign? He'll be like, yeah, sounds great, honey. And he'll just kind of like wave it off and go to bed. He's not into the story building aspect, so I'm over here like, how do I problem solve?
So on that note, what do you feel like your favorite part of DMing is, and how do you go about it?
My favorite part of DMing is the aha moments players have to like a little puzzle that I've put in front of them. Like seeing that, like, hey, I did the smart, I solved the puzzle, like that little giddy joy. It's my favorite thing. That's also my favorite thing as a player, but like as a DM, watching a player be excited about it, fucking love that shit. Or like if they came up with a different method that wasn't how I thought was going to be solved, and I was like, no, I like that one better than what I had.
Right.
Here, let's go.
Yep, that works. I suffer from the polar opposite of that. Is I am the worst at gauging puzzles. I will either assume like, oh, this is so easy, they'll have it done in like 2 minutes flat, and then my entire table is stuck there for, you know, a half an hour, just like, how do we, what are we missing? And then it'll be the inverse. I'll be like, oh, I've crafted the most clever thing, and somebody will just be like, I do this, son of a never the difficulty I think it's gonna be.
Yeah, but I still think it's fun either way.
For sure. So in your illustrious D&D career, what would you say is the most standout moment for you? Like one of those memories that like instant recall of a favorite time?
Oh my god. Like I always picture the one I have with Abix. Like it wasn't related to any of these games, but here she is, like pushing and pulling to try and save her, like just accidentally married husband from a cult summoning thing, so he doesn't die and get enveloped in like this pool of blood that's just hovering above the ground. And I always think of that moment as a very standout moment because it's just one of those ones that always happens in my brain. And then recently in another game, all the homebrew stuff that nobody ever sees, right? Because I feel like everyone lives the moments with me in the podcast. Why do I have to retell everything of those? You have your favorite moments. You can hear me have my favorite moments. We all know those ones. My other one that was just recent was my PC had just met her dead father as a ghost and just basically blew up on him. Totally emotional overload, lots of things going on, but like she solved many issues all at once by having a conversation with him to like this idol that she's never got to meet or knew of beforehand, and it just makes my heart real happy.
Gotta love those moments. Those quality RP times are, I think, one of the best things that like the resurgence of D&D has brought on. Is there's such a better emphasis on RP than I think it used to have, where a lot of more mechanical hack and slash kind of was the past.
See, I love the story of it all. I couldn't imagine living a game of D&D where it was just hack and slash. I think I'd be bored out of my mind with all the numbers and everything. You hear me panic if a Ginge doesn't zoom past it. I'd like, fuck all the dice. I need 12 of these dice and 6 of these ones, and fuck this magic spell. Like, who's going to have this many D4s on hand?
Okay, but it does feel good when you get to roll like that, like 10 D4, and you're just clatter dice everywhere. But
oh yeah, definitely. I just have to find them all.
That's the other, rough side of the podcast is everything you want to feel like it's clicking and keeping that flow compared to just a relaxed table, for sure. Well, I don't want to drag you on forever. Is there anything else like you would love to highlight about your characters or anything else?
The only one I could think of is Miss B, because I do adore her. And I currently have a project that's in the mind at the moment. It's just getting it from the mind to paper and pen. But like, I want to have like a little reports, like Miss B's reports from the end of campaign to whenever.
Love that.
Somebody finds these missing reports wherever they are, but it's like a retelling of like things that happened, things in her past, things that are happening now as they repair Terra Novae, and all that. And that's my one comment. I want to do that. I have a hard time starting it.
Is that something that you kind of hope that you'll be able to? I mean, obviously, right? Devin's world, when we get back there, we see what he has in store, but if it progresses and it's a little bit further in the future, is there a hope that we get to see like what became of Miss B and see a little bit more of her story from like a retrospective?
Oh, I'm hoping that with basically all the characters. Like, even then, part of me in C4 is hoping I'll see like remnants of Abix somewhere.
I mean,
just somewhere.
At this point, William could show up anywhere, so...
yeah. We have no idea. Maybe at the end of the campaign and he's just hanging out with Daddy Derringer.
That's... Oh, Lord. That would be an amazing payoff if that's exactly what Dwayne has in mind. It's because he in the letters that you guys all got mentions, I mean, it's high stakes. He only tells you guys because he thinks if the information got out, it would be like catastrophic to all of Goron. So maybe it is another door. Maybe there is a William at the end of this campaign.
I have no idea, but I am so excited to find out what Dwayne's got.
Yeah, so I can't wait to see the next like arc to this story. It's definitely worth the wait. So, well, thank you, Avon. I appreciate you sitting down with me and letting me pick your brain for a while.
Yeah, no problem. I'll happily keep on chatting about any D&D thing people want to have. I got full of thoughts. So many.
And again, hopefully this is a continuous thing. Maybe we'll get a special interview with Shane and Devin and pick Dwayne's brain as well down the road. So if you're listening and you have any questions that you just are dying for them to answer, hop into the Discord, ping me. I will make sure that we get it in front of them. Thank everybody for listening.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
Bye. Talking stupid. Definitely worth the wait.